Hello, antique and vintage lovers. We're going to have some fun today because we're going to see how things actually did. We had 20 items we put on eBay and we had good success. We sold 20 of them. We got paid for 19. There's a little lesson there. There's some things going on with certain types of Fenton and certain types of buyers. We're going to talk about that, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I want to thank my level 2 and level 3 members who get early access to the bonus video that creates these sales. We do 20 item listings every month and they get the first shot at it, and then we release it to everybody and we see how these things do at eBay auctions. So let's see how they did last month because we had some fun things and some fun results. This first piece that sold was a Lea Stein Pin, and what a cool piece. She was so ahead of her time. She used the thermoplastics and created sandwiched celluloid and other resins that could create these really deep textured pieces, and they're really fun the way they're styled. There's 2 generations of them, and no, you can't really tell them apart by the way the pin is stuck on the back. People say if it's heat applied like this one that it's older, but that's not necessarily true. You really have to just know the discontinued pieces. The Fox is something that was done about 30 years ago. It went for $70 on 22 bids, and I'm not surprised because Lea Stein pins and related jewelry are very popular now. She's probably the leading 20th century plastic jewelry maker, so somebody to definitely look for. Next, the War and Navy Department restricted recognition of naval vessels. This went to someone whose father was in the Navy just like mine was. I thought it might go to somebody who had some personal connection. And it was an unusual piece because it was restricted, and restricted is a pretty big deal. It's the kind of thing that you're not supposed to share, and that's because it had all sorts of information, as you see here, about the Japanese vessels, the German vessels, as well as our own, including some pretty sinister stuff because it was wartime. Things like, well, there's German naval vessels, here's the folio itself, here's the Nuremberg, and it actually talks about things like where to attack so that you can figure out how to sink a vessel like this. So it was a pretty big deal. They didn't make a lot of them, and this one went for $43 on 9 bids. And that was a pretty nice deal for me because somebody actually gave it to me for free, which was really nice of her. So if you're out there watching, thank you very much. And this next piece, now this was one we did as an experiment, and I thought it might go higher because I thought maybe it would sell like the paint by number sets are. It turns out that the watercolor sets are not as valuable, even though they have fantastic graphics, and they are done by Craftmaster, which was the company that did all of the paint by number sets back in the day. But it went for $20, and I think that was fair for what it was, now that I understand the market a little bit better. And just such a great graphic, though, right out of 1970. Next piece here. Now, this Fenton piece sold just where it should have for $70 plus shipping. That's right in the range. This is the Lotus Mist, which is their essentially green Burmese, and they did it in the grape and cable in the pressed glass for this particular jar. Now, because it's not a highly decorated piece, the price is under $100, but Lotus Mist is hard to find, so almost any piece you see in this color combination is going to sell for good money, and this one did. I was really glad to see this set sell because it had these wonderful original stickers on it and had never actually been used. Even though you see a few glazed chips there, these were likely to have been factory seconds because this was purchased not at the Tudor Pottery's factory, which was long gone, but at the Metlock's factory at their factory outlet store in the 1960s. And my guess is that they were looking at other companies. Tudor was very successful with tile back in the 1930s, and Metlock's wanted to come out with their line 200, which was a pastel dinnerware line and happy oranges and all sorts of bright colors in sort of a plain pattern and a little bit of a ring pattern similar to what Bauer and the other companies were doing. And my guess is that they got these to try to figure out a little bit about the glaze formulation or other tricks of the trade that they could learn to help them with developing their own ware. It's the only reason that it makes any sense for a set by a competing company to have sat in their warehouse for years unused. So an interesting story. The set went for $89, and with shipping that's just over $100, and that's about what I figured the retail value would be. This is an unusual bunch of stuff. This is Child's IQ Test, and it's picture assembly so that kids would go through and they would have to put stories in order, or they would have to put a card together out of puzzle pieces. They're not interlocking, so I'm sure that was frustrating for little kids. But the point was to see how fast they could put this together, how quickly their mind could put things together, and how dexterous they were. And that was supposed to be some indication of intelligence. The woman looks like a 1950s woman. It is the, there's a dress, there's short bobbed hair, all of the things that look like mom from back then. And the car is definitely of a certain era. The face is a little bit Picasso-esque, so it definitely shows its age. They got a little more modern as they went on. These IQ tests kept being done for many, many years. You and I probably had something like this in school and didn't even realize that's what they were doing, was testing our intelligence. So this went for $39 for this group, and I thought they were very interesting and that was a good price. These were very pretty, and they were better in person, I think, than in the picture. One problem with jewelry is that sometimes you lose a little bit of focus, and I think these did because they were very round, so the camera had a hard time figuring out where to catch it. So I think that the person who got these probably liked them better when they saw them in person than they did even when they saw them here. But they are Von Dome. Hard to read the signature there, but it is on the back of that one clip. And they've got these wonderful Rivoli stones. They went for $37 plus shipping, and that's right in the ballpark of where they should have gone. Next here, the Charlie Tuna Money Clip. This is great, a 1970s original. This went for $14.50 plus shipping, and that's about all any of these really go for. So I thought that was a pretty good number. I like the fact that the condition was really good, and of course, Charlie Tuna, well, you know, he wanted to be fabulous, baby. He wanted to be in pictures. He wanted to be in your tuna can, anywhere that he thought he could achieve fame. So there he is with his little name on his hat and his sunglasses, looking very Hollywood, even though this was made in Japan. Cute piece, and it went to a collector of Charlie Tuna stuff, so I was happy that they got it. This one, another silly thing. We did have a few things that were a little more sophisticated, but this was definitely a sale with a lot of kitschy things, a lot of toys, things that were fun for kids back in the day, and, well, some slightly grown-up kids back in the day as well. This is the Sperm Bank, of course, as you can see by the shape and the squiggle there. They're done by David Page. They came originally without eyeballs, and then later on they put a little face on them. So this is an early one. It went for $20 plus shipping, and that's typically the price these go for. But I thought it was fun. People are always asking me, what things should I be looking for from the 80s? And I've got to tell you, this piece always sells for $20 for me. And because they were given as gag gifts 40 years ago, a lot of them are in estate sales and garage sales now for a couple of bucks. The Star Wars lunchbox. This went really, really well, and it's a good, clean original. The thermos needed to be replaced because it had a crack from having been stored in heat, but the lunchbox, thankfully, was not blemished in that. There is the land speeder, and we've got the thermos in there. You can see the crack from being stored in a hot attic. But the rest of it is very clean, no real dents or scratches. That matters a lot, and you really have to show everything because otherwise you get lots of questions. With lunchbox collectors, it's better to take lots of pictures and don't leave them guessing. And so we showed everything to show it's the original 1977 version, and we were rewarded 37 bids. Star Wars is very hot if you have the original stuff right now, and for this to go for $250, was a wonderful surprise. That was about $100 more than I thought it might go for. So you just never know. This is why you always have to keep trying with eBay, because something might be a miss and something else might be a hit. This was a hit too, and I'm glad because I thought it was really great. I see a lot of rocket banks. I almost never see this one, and when I do, it's never in this kind of condition. The silver was all painted over the glaze, so it's really easy to come off. So was the red, so was the yellow, and the gold was just stamped on. So all of these things were very prone to wear, and you usually don't see them in this kind of condition. For that trip for the moon, and it's the Apollo era style, so we know this is early 60s. There's the Fred Roberts Company. They were big importers from San Francisco of Japanese items, and this thing is just cool. I took a lot of pictures of this too because I really wanted to show how good the condition was, and because it was a little hard to get that gold lettering to show, but I think the extra pictures helped, You can see that it spent a little time in a thrift store because there's a grease pencil mark on it with a letter J that was probably some inventory code. I did not try to get that off because we didn't want to mess up the silver, but I did tell the folks in the description that that's the way it was, and they were happy. The ultimate buyer, who was the buyer after 25 bids, paid $75 plus shipping for this piece. And I think that's fair because they're hard to find in this condition, and rocket banks in general are very collectible. This was fun. This was another thing that I was given by somebody who didn't want to mess with it, and they said, if you can sell it, you go ahead. And I thought, well, this will be fun to try. And so we did, and it went for just under $20, which is what these go for. It's a picture disc. This one is 1983, and this one was an Arista promo that was done for what became their third and final big hit, which was, one side was She's Sexy in 17, and the other side, the song that they were trying to promote here, there we go, was Looking Better Every Beer. That was the one that they thought was going to be a really big hit, and it turned out that She's Sexy in 17 ended up being the big hit off of the album. Look how young they look there. It's so funny because they were sort of a retro throwback band at the time, a throwback to the 50s. Well, now we are as far from their time in history as they were from the 50s. So amazing how time marches on. So the stray cats are definitely collectible, and I'm glad somebody got a neat thing for their album collection. These only went for $17.50, and honestly, I think I might have gotten that much a piece if I had split them up. And so that was a good thing to learn. Sometimes you think that grouping things is going to attract more attention, and in reality, you would actually do better splitting them up because somebody needed one or two of these to fill their collection, but they already had some. So another lesson learned, you just have to try different things on eBay and see what works sometimes. But sometimes singly selling actually does get you more individually than grouping them together and hoping that they'll all pop. I had hoped that these might get as much as $17.50 a piece, but I'm not disappointed either because the client got a nice deal and I actually got them very inexpensively. So not as inexpensively as the $1.39 original price you see on the grease pencil there, but not a whole lot more. So we all came out just fine, and somebody got something they really liked. This was really cool, the Hot Wheels Thermos with the red line cars on it. It went for $41 on 10 bids. The Will George Flamingo, this is a beautiful piece, and it went for $76.75 plus shipping. To be honest with you, this could have gone either way. It could have gone over 100, it could have gone for 50. It really just sort of seems to depend on the day. So I thought this price was kind of right in the middle of the range, and I was happy with that. I love the 50s flamingos. The Matisse earrings, this is one of the first things that sold. It sold right away as a buy it now. I do try to run buy it nows when I do these eBay listing videos because I figure that the people who are so generous with their donations as members to help us do this content deserve a chance to maybe get something first. And so we put a lot of things out on buy it now when we're in a position to ship right away. And this was a good time to do that. So these went for $29 on one bid. And away they went. And they went to a viewer I really enjoy, and I bet they look good on her. These went for $30 buy it now on one bid. This is a great set, the 1909 California souvenir playing card set. So many great things that are old-time California attractions. San Diego Mission is a place that I visited often as a kid because we lived near there, and it dates back to the 1700s. Joker's great because it's the bear and the native son laughing, the donkey laughing at them with the playing card company information is good. I like the mission bell and the poinsettias. It's just a neat piece, copyright 1907 and 1909, so true antique. And there is interest in these, as you can see, a lot of these early California, Hawaii, locations in Texas. These were places people went on vacation back then, and it was considered unusual and exotic. And these were things to represent the exciting things that you saw when you went to these unusual places, and to send back to your family so that they would want to come back and see it as well. And it worked, because look how many people are in California now. This little piece here was interesting because it had a strange history. This was from a time when Hot Wheels red lines were not popular anymore. The first generation had just about passed and the company was having trouble, and they decided to try to make some extra money that they were going to take their famous Volkswagen model and sell it to a soap company to put in as a premium. And that's why it says Wisconsin Toy and Novelty, because the soap company premium idea did not end up working out. But meanwhile, they had made this special run of cars with plastic bottoms instead of metal to make them lighter to put in the soap, and in little blister packs. And so Wisconsin Novelty came along and said, oh gosh, you still have all those laying around. Well, we'll take them and sell them through our outlets. And so they bought the whole schmear and sold all of them. And because of that, they're actually kind of hard to find. They were not really like the other red lines because they don't have the metal base and because they came along near the end of production. So this went for $49, buy it now, on one bid as well. And that's about the price they should go for. So I was pretty satisfied that it went right away. And then lastly here we have the Dryden Pottery Kansas 4-inch mini ewer. I was so happy to see this sell. It went to a viewer I really like. It went for $19, buy it now. It was absolutely worth $19. Someone gave it to Mom, isn't that cute? I had this piece for a really long time because it's small, it's a miniature. It just sort of got lost in displays. I don't know why I never thought to put it online before. This is one of these things that's perfect for online selling because it's got the original label. And it's an early piece, and it's a specific company with an interesting history. Dryden started in Kansas when this particular piece was made, and eventually moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where the pieces are still made to this day. So this is a really early one. I just never put it on eBay, so it took me all these years to sell it, and honestly, I probably could have sold it right away if I had put it online. So for those of you who have real-world antique mall spaces or a death pile you're staring at, you may want to look at it a little bit differently. Take a look for things that have been sitting around a long time, that have good labels, that are in a box, that have something going for them that make them easy to show and a little more unusual, and try them online, because you might be surprised how you could clear out some things you've had a long time and make room for other things that maybe will sell better in a real world location. So it takes all parts of this market for it to work if you're doing this as a professional reseller. If you are a collector or dabbling in resale, the same principles still can apply. Because again, if you're looking at something in your collection that you've forgotten about, that might be the thing to sell and move along so that you can bring in something new. And if you are a smaller time reseller, you may not have a big death pile. Keep it that way if you can. But again, you may be looking at things and saying, well, it's not selling, it's not selling. Change the platform, change where you're showing it. You move it and it will sell. And it's an old adage from the estate sale business, but it works, and it works practically every time. And then there was our last sale, number 20, the one that got away. And I want to show you the piece. It's a very lovely piece. It is this Fenton, again, Lotus Green Mist. It's the equivalent of green Burmese. I put this on the computer because I thought it was a very pretty piece. I don't have a lot of Lotus Mist left, and it has a nice signature that you can see there, D. Robinson and the Fenton USA, all hand painted, very pretty piece. I put this online expecting that it would probably sell in the $130, $140 range on a good day, and it suddenly shot up to $225, and I thought, oh boy, well, this happened last month, but maybe we'll have more luck. And then I saw it was a person with a Chinese name with very little feedback, and they wanted it sent to a P.O. box in Portland, Oregon. I've been hearing through rumors from various sources that I cannot verify that when you are seeing Chinese names with low feedback going to P.O. boxes in Delaware and in Portland, Oregon in particular, you may want to give them a tracking number and a shipping label, but hold the shipping a couple of days, because a lot of these buyers seem to be either backing out on their bids or paying and then immediately closing the account, and by the time the payment processes, it's on an NSF account. And that is a real concern. So don't get scammed. Just give it a couple of days, go ahead and print that shipping label, give it a moment or two to rest, then send out the stuff when you can verify funds have come in. That is probably the best way to prevent against that sort of thing. On the other hand, you know what? I have another client who will love that piece, and so I'm not really disappointed that these people didn't finish the transaction. I think I behaved in a way that made it seem like I wasn't going to fall into the scam, and so they just canceled. And well, what the person did, honestly, is they waited till they'd already bought the object, and then they started asking me for videos and more descriptions, and, well, in the picture it looks like this, and I'm thinking, why did you bid at the last minute, and now you have 50 questions and you want a video after you already paid, and I'm supposed to send it to you? And I just got real suspicious. So that is my warning. Take it for what it is. Most of the people I have dealt with who are Chinese buyers have been wonderful, and they are really into it, and they pay well. So, you know, don't wash everyone with the same brush. So hopefully my experience can become your experience, and you can have an even better experience than I did. But this month was pretty great. And for those of you who are level 2 and level 3 members, not only will you have members only chat with the premiere of this video, but you will also have members only chat once we premiere the new level 2 video, which is going to come out very soon, where we list 20 more items on eBay and experiment with how they do and see what they do in an open marketplace at auction. So join us for that. It's always fun to see the results. And in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video, and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help, and we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.